Hi, welcome back. I wanted to talk about mixing pantheons in your practice. So, I know there are some who are hardcore believers that you cannot mix, and that there are those who are pretty laid back on can you mix, or how you do your practice. And I just wanted to give my opinion, my experience to that, because I have mixed pantheons in the past. Currently I am not. As you know, I honor Isis and Thoth, and they are of the same pantheon. But prior to that, I was honoring Isis and Ganesh. And I did not have a problem with honoring Isis and Ganesh. There were no, I connected with both. I worked with both. There was nothing that made me, okay, focus. There was nothing that made me feel like this was wrong. I'm gonna say that perhaps if you're following certain traditions, then that might be something that's not allowed. But if you are practicing your own path, in my opinion, I feel like you should practice your own path however best you're comfortable. Whatever that is. If it's something that you're called to do, there's a reason why you're called to do it. Now, when for the longest time I was just working with Isis and honoring her, and I've always wanted to be able to connect to that male aspect. I never was able to connect to male deity. Even back when I was a practicing Catholic, it was hard for me. I was not comfortable addressing God. But I was always comfortable with the Virgin Mary, with Mother Mary. And I was always comfortable with her. And, it was just a connection I always had. And so, as a Wiccan and as a pagan, I wholeheartedly believe in duality. I believe you cannot have one without the other. Everything coexists. And so I felt like I was missing out on that connection with male deity. And so I just had not come across one that I was comfortable working with. And at that time, all these things kept popping up. All these, and I'm calling them signs, kept popping up in regards to Lakshmi, and who is clearly, again, not in the Egyptian pantheon. Lakshmi is a Hindu goddess. And I was just being called to work with Lakshmi. Not that I stopped working with Isis. I did work with Isis, but then I started working with Lakshmi as well. And I was very comfortable working with her. And it was bringing me closer to deity. But again, not closer to that male aspect. But in working with Lakshmi is when I came upon Ganesh. And when I work with a deity, I want to know all that I can about them. I do all kinds of research about them, about the culture in which they are a part of, how they're honored, things like that. And so in doing that, I came across Ganesh. Now, prior to that, when I'm looking at things and stuff, Ganesh kept popping up, or aspects of Ganesh kept popping up. And eventually I came to realize, okay, so your purpose into coming into my life wasn't just so much for me to work with you, but to lead me somewhere and to lead me to Ganesh. And so then for a few years I was working with Ganesh. And, I still wasn't quite connected to that male aspect, but I was a little bit more. And in working with Ganesh is how I came upon Thoth. To me, Lakshmi came into my life to lead me to Ganesh, who came into my life to lead me and prepare me to work with Thoth. Thoth and Ganesh are very similar. They are both gods of intellect. Ganesh is an obstacle remover, first and foremost, but he also is a god of intellect. He is a god of writing, much as Thoth is. Thoth is the great magician, but he is a god of intellect. He is the scribe. And these are things that greatly I can relate to, because I am a writer. I am not a full-time writer. I am a hobby writer. But I love to write. I love to read. I love to research and to look into things and things like that. So I am an intellectual, as far as I'm concerned. I am an intellectual. And so these are deities that I'm connected to on that level. And so I feel like Ganesh has led me there. Now, do I not work with Ganesh anymore? Yes. I'm sorry. No, I do work with him. I keep Ganesh's statue up in my living room actually now. And I'm working on trying to create like an altar space for him. And but I do work with Ganesh, and very much so, especially when I'm doing road opening spells or obstacle removers. It's Ganesh that I invoke for those kinds of workings. I have not done workings with Thoth, first and foremost because my practice is more of a spiritual nature than a magical nature. Not that I have a problem with working magic. I don't. I don't feel like I'm proficient enough to be doing all these different kinds of spells. I mainly, when I do spells, they're protection spells. They are obstacle removers, things like that. They are stuff like that. Things that will help my family, things that protect my family, things that will keep my family going, and and help provide for my family. That's what I do. And so when I do certain spells, I invoke both Isis and Thoth. I have not worked with Thoth alone. I have worked with Isis alone, especially when it comes to my children, and to watch over my children. I do that. Am I comfortable now in the male aspect of deity? I am not. I am more comfortable, and it's a road that I'm working on, especially since it's been so many years of being in a religion that was so oppressive to the feminine. I wholeheartedly believe that you can mix pantheons. Yes, baby. No, sweetie, I am. Yes, ma'am. I am. Because I'm going back in there. Thank you. No, baby. That's right. That's my busybody. Anyway, so my opinion is that you follow a path that is right for you. Do not let others sway you on your path, tell you what you're doing is wrong if it does not feel wrong, and if it's working for you. That's what's important. Many of us have come from oppressive religions, and there's a reason why we left those oppressive religions. And so my opinion is everyone is entitled to their belief, and if there are those that believe you should not mix pantheons, that's fine. And that if they don't, that's fine. That's their belief, and that's what they should do if that's what works for them. But I don't believe you should be told what to do in your private practice, especially if it's something that works for you. So I'm not telling you to mix pantheons. What I'm telling you is, if that's what you're called to do, then you should do so. Now, what I do believe is, when you're working with a deity, any deity in whatever pantheon, I feel it is very, very important to learn all you can about that deity. Learn about how they might have been honored in ancient times. Learn about what offerings might have been given to them, what offerings you will want to give them. Also learn about the history. Learn about the culture in which, you know, those deities were a part of. So I would research the people, especially in ancient times. Learn about ancient civilizations, those cultures, how they might have honored deity then. If you can, learn about how those deities are honored today, and if they're still being honored in those cultures. I feel like that's a very important thing. It'll help you connect more, in my opinion, to that deity. It will give you more of an understanding, and you can then build your practice on how you want to honor that deity with that information. So I feel it's important to also research the history. One of the books that I absolutely love is Daughters of Isis, which is about women in ancient Egypt. From a maiden to, when I say maiden, I mean to say, I'm sorry, to like a working class person, to a woman, to a priestess, to queens. It's very important to know that history, especially if it's not your history, so that you can more effectively honor these deities in a respectful way. But at the same time, do what you're called to do. So let's say you see that milk and honey might be a typical offering for that deity, but for some reason you're being called to offer them crystals. Like, I offer crystals. I offer crystals. I offer incense. I don't typically offer food. Not that I have a problem with it. It's just that I have little kids, and I'm afraid of them bumping into things and knocking things, and I don't want, like, milk. I would offer milk. Milk is a good offering for Ganesh. I think it's a good offering for Isis as well. But I don't tend to offer those kinds of things. I would offer Ganesh turmeric, which is something they've always offered. But I offer crystals, and I choose crystals that correspond with that deity. So if I see in the past these crystals were associated, like malachite is associated with Isis, lapis lazuli is associated with Isis, carnelian is associated with Isis, I would give those as offerings as well. I don't use those crystals for any other thing. And once I have offered them, I will cleanse them. I will put them back in the holding box that I use specifically for these offerings. And at which time I'm going to offer crystals again. These are her crystals. I will offer these to her. I also like to use incense. Incense is my biggest offering. I love to offer incense because I feel that, and you know, many will say, for the same reason why we use candle spells, fire speeds up things, smoke carries your wishes up into the air. That's why many would use incense. Or if you're doing a cauldron spell, you burn the bay leaf. You wrote your wish on bay leaves, you burn it up. That has released it up to manifest. And so I feel like this incense reaches up and out to them, out to deity. And so that's why that is one of my big preferences. But there are those that would be hardcore. Offer milk, offer honey, offer grains. I don't do that. Will I never do that? No. There might be times when I'm called to do that, and then I will. So ultimately, in the end, you have to do your practice how you were called to do your practice, because you were called that way for a reason, just as you were called to this path for a reason. So that's basically my 2 cents on the topic. This is, you know, I thought I'd just come in here. I wanted to make it even shorter than what it is, because this is a chill day for me. My stepson's visiting, and we've been out and about every day since he's been here, and today is the go nowhere day. I'm lounging. I'm in my pajamas. This is gonna be my pajama day. So I just wanted to come out and, you know, this is something I've wanted to talk about for a while, and I don't know why I've kept putting it off. So thanks for watching, and blessed be.